Hello, good morning, dear students. Welcome to AWS class, Application and Web Security. In the previous class, I have explained the concept regarding introduction to web, what is the use of web security and its importance, then evolution of web application, common web application functions like we are using social site, banking, and blogs like that. We have many applications are there. Then what are the benefits of web application? Then web application security. Okay, different types of attacks will happen during the transmission of data from a browser to server. These all concepts we have studied in today class. I'm going to explain regarding providing defense uh, to your defense mechanism, so that you can provide security for your data while transmitting data from browser to the server. In this chapter, we'll find how uh, how attacker can access user data by using different mechanism. At the same time, how to protect your data from hacking. These all concepts will be studied today. So the first step, handling user access. So whenever you want to log into the system, first we need to check that we have to provide our credential. Then the admin will find that whether the credential is correct or not. Based on that only, we'll provide the access. Okay, so we need an central security requirement uh, that virtually in any application that's check for user credentials. There will be different types of users are there. First one is anonymous. They are not registered to your website or your application. And second one is ordinary authenticated. So ordinary authenticated means that just by using your mobile number and simple password you can log into the system. Then third one is that the administrator people. So these people are having different types of users to the same application. Each of them are having different permission, means that the anonymous user can only view the functionality that are available in application, and ordinary authenticated people can access some data into that in the application, whereas administrator can access all the information to the inside that application. Along with that, he can make use of adding the users, deleting the users. He can perform many other tasks. Okay, then uh, in order to perform this user access control, we make use of three different categories. One is that authentication at the beginning of the login page, then session management once they entered into the application, then how to maintain the security, then access control. So how to provide access uh, during session, and how to provide security for the user data. So at the beginning we have authentication. In that, whenever you log into system, first system application should check who is the user. Okay, by using some credentials like user ID and password. These are the minimum value. And if you are doing some operations like transactions, online transaction, that time I require a few more I think authentication values, like you are asking for captcha, enter the captcha, or you will get some OTPs. By using OTP you can log into the you can perform your transactions. As well as if you want to access the particular important data, that time you have to provide your profile password. So few more options will be added to it in order to make you should be authenticated with different fields. Like you can many fields you can able to uh, in order to access the application you need to add many details. Then if you forgot the some information while entering, because of many fields are there, if you have lost any of the information, that time the application should specify to the user. So these are the possible checks that you can perform. You might have forgotten the password, you might have kept the some date of birth that will be there. And in order to record the password you have to give your mobile number so that you will get an OTP. By using that OTP again you have to re-enter your password by using new values. So these all information will be provided to the user. Then, second bit is session management. How to perform session management. So, whenever I just logged into my system, uh, you can take an example of online banking. So, I enter into my online banking. Then, at same time, I'm going to request for the. I'm going to see what is my account statement for the last year, and I'm going to see what is the how many accounts are added into my account to send the amount. Then at same time, which all services are available online, that also I can check. So at same time, I'm going to access many pages. So each page is having a separate separate information embedded into it. So this will be fetching the information for particular page and giving back it to the user. That will be done by the http request. Okay, it handles it will perform based on the request only. Then, so while transmitting data from many pages to the single user, in between that phase, so hacker can able to get the data, because in each phase, so only once time we are authenticated. Once we get login, we are not checking for the authentication, because we're accessing many page at that time. So hacker can get that data. So in order to overcome that problem, we make use of an token. So whenever one page send the data to the user, that time it has to be encrypted by using that token only. So every time user get a credential, based on credential request only, he can access the different pages. And whatever the information will be stored, that will be encrypted in the uh, user machine, not on the server side, so that in the user only it is a possibility of the hacker to attack the data, not on the server side. So most of the hacking will be done at the in the place of uh, client machine, not in the server machine, so that in the client machine you have to encode the data. Whatever the credentials are there for the user, you have to encode them, not to make it secure. Then next one, third step is access control. When you are going to log into the system, it can be permitted or denied. That is based on your credential. If you are giving the correct password and correct user id, that time you are allowed to access the machine. If you are giving some wrong credential, that time you will be denied for accessing it. Okay. So some it will not provide an exact security. Why? Because one person who knows the proper, for example, I have given my email id with the password is that my date of birth. So these are the regularly used password everybody using. So when one person, the hacker, want to get my data, simply is trying for my he knows my date of birth, simply is giving my date of birth, he will get access to the system. So in order to overcome that problem, we need to add some more bits into it. Okay. So whenever developer design an application, if he fails to check for all possible cases, so hacker can able to access. That time it is easy for the any other person to access our data. So developer should make sure that he should continuously checking on each of the possibility of avoiding the hacking. Okay. Then handling, next step is that in that only, handling user input. Okay. So all the input what we are getting to the application are not trusted one. So some people may are going to add the invalid data. Sometime I'm going to asking for give the username, and that maybe I've created on fake username and Gmail account. Then I will give that will be that as an my personal ID. So I'm going to add few more unexpected data to the application. Actually they are not valid. So in order to overcome that problem, we need to make use of input validation. So, in order to provide the input validation, we make use of different criteria are there. While giving the password should be of only 6 characters, and sometimes if the number is there, we can provide only numbers are there. Along with the characters, you should specify the special character. And while adding the email ID, there should be an add symbol should be there in the email ID. So to check all the fields, then only it becomes an proper credentials of the user. This all be done by making use of simple HTML tags. Okay, in order to create the password, just to make use of HTML tags, it will be created. So along with that, it will not provide secure way. Why? Because in the HTML forms only, in HTML coding only, if I added one form, the hacker can add one form. Actually it is not there earlier, not required, not given by the developer, but he has added some form into it. So whenever I while adding my the earlier field, if I added this field also, that time the new information has been sent to the hacker. By using that information, he can able to access our entire data. So in that application, the server should check that whatever the information I was asked for the user, whether he was submitted the same information or he was added few more bits to add. That time it will get modified, and you can identify uh, uh, someone added some malicious code into it. That time we can avoid that one. Then rejecting the approach to handle input handling. So in that, reject noun bad. So we are going to make some already we know that these kind of attacks will be happening from the uh, hackers. So we need to avoid them. How to avoid them? First we make just go through the survey. So in that you will come to know these are the patterns, so hacker can probably get. So we make them the blacklist. Okay. So whenever the hacker want to hack the system by using the earlier these set of pattern, he is not able to access it. But this is also not a good technique. Why? Because whenever I'm going to add the data, actually it is not a blacklist, it is the required data only, but that required data comes in the blacklist. That time it won't allow us to access the data, access the application. So even though I am a authenticated user, I can't able to access that application. So that creates a problem also. So uh, and another thing is that it like in the blacklist will omit some pattern of input that can be used to attack the application. So while adding the patterns, you need to make sure that you have to add few more bits into it that are not easy to identify. In that case also, this condition will not help. Now to make it secure, you have to add few more bits to it. So for that reason only, novel method for exploiting existing categories of vulnerability are likely to be blocked by current blacklist means that we should make use of standard format. You allow only those are to be considered a blacklist pattern. Don't consider remaining all. Okay. Then accept noun good. It means that we are going to add the values, uh, even though we know that they are not safe, but you have to accept it. Okay. For example, when you are sending the data, when you're sending the data, that we know that that will not harm to our system, that time we're going to accept it. Like you are installing the software, that time we're getting some problem, like it's not safe for use purpose, but that will not make our system to crash. That time we simply ignore that one. We clicked on next to next, so your software get installed in such a way. Or you can make use of, you can store your password. Whenever I send the any document to you, it should be password protected, so that only if you know your data, then only you can able to access it. So that kind of features we are going to provide. Along with that, it may create problem because whenever the data I provided, I am not allowing that I don't use special character. But if that special character itself is the input data, that time it creates an problem. Okay. It is also having some issues. It will not provide the proper security. Then sanitization. Sanitization recognizes sometimes accept data that cannot be guaranteed as safe. The same thing we can provide. If I know that the code is not good, we are not going to accept it. But for certain cases, we need to accept and do some changes in it. Okay. Okay. In the next